So I want to tell you guys about today. I was representing and talking about brand identity, and I realized not too much people know about brand identity. And what brand identity is basically you know your identity, right? Your identity really is not you. You know, we all have identities, we all have egos. So funny thing is with people's egos is people really try to make you believe that they're strong when they're in an ego self. If you're talking to someone and they're in an ego, you're not inspired by that person. That's because that person wants to fight, that person wants to destroy. An ego is not healthy. They say you could have a healthy ego, but the only way you can have a healthy ego is if you're contributing and if you're of service. So when you look at a brand identity, your brand should be of service, but your brand identity can be like an ego. It could be unhealthy. It could be just about the grind. It could just be about greed. So when your brand identity is not whole and complete, it's not in integrity, well, your clients and your employees will not know what they need to do to expand your business. So when you're clear on your brand identity, like for instance, I posted, sometimes your brand identity could be the hero. You're here to save something. I kind of see Amazon as like a brand identity as the hero, because during COVID, we could have stuff sent to our door and it could be non-contact. Now, they are touching our boxes, but 9 times out of 10, when is your box getting infected with anything? And 9 times out of 10, they're wearing gloves and like the rough gloves. So when it comes to a brand identity, when it comes to a healthy brand identity, I think, honestly, every 5 years, you should be reevaluating your brand identity because you grow and you expand as a brand. So I don't think a lot of companies are doing this, where they're growing and expanding in their brand identity. You get to shuffle through the mess and you get to see, okay, what is my brand focus on? And your brand should never be focused on the customer is wrong, or, you know, it should never be focused on winning. I think that kind of brand identity will not work. You should focus on integrity every single time. So you should be sitting there and you should be reevaluating your integrity, reevaluating your employees' integrity. Some people don't know what they're doing. So when they have an unhealthy ego and they work for your brand and you're not evaluating and your brand's identity isn't strong enough, sometimes your employees or your clients will take over your brand identity. That's why you have to have a solid brand identity. For instance, Steve Jobs had a solid brand identity. He was like, no, we are innovation. So I didn't really look at what innovation is, but I think what's close to it is the sage. When I looked at it, I don't call it the sage, I call it the innovator. And I would think when it comes to Disney, they are kind of innovative, but they are also like childish and they're about play. So you can fuse two brand identities, but you don't want to get too confused with it. So when it comes to a brand identity, you want to have clarity. I really think that Disney answers the call to education. Every time I watch something with Disney, I'm educated on an emotion. I'm educated on a theme in my life. And no matter how old I am, we all have themes in our life. So let me get to the point. We all have different themes in our life that matter. So when you have the theme of, I answer the call to the different themes in your life and I'm Disney, of course you're going to have a strong brand identity. So I want you guys to unpack, and I want you to look at, if you're not getting the revenue and you're not getting the sales that you think you should get, what is your brand identity? Are people clear what your brand identity is? Are they clear what your message is? Are they clear what your service is to the humanity? Let's get clear today.